Have you ever noticed your hands doing something unexpected? Maybe a slight shake when you're at rest, fingers stiffening more than usual, or even handwriting that seems to be shrinking over time. These might seem like small inconveniences, just another part of getting older. But what if your hands were actually sending you an important message about your health? Millions of people worldwide are living with Parkinson's disease, a condition that affects movement and coordination. While most people associate it with obvious tremors, the truth is that the earliest warning signs are often much more subtle, especially in the hands. Recognizing these signs early can make all the difference in getting the right care, managing symptoms, and maintaining a high quality of life. That's why in today's video, we're going to talk about 5 key hand-related symptoms that could be early indicators of Parkinson's, especially if you're over 60. We'll explain what to look for, share real-life examples to make these signs easier to recognize, and discuss simple ways to manage them. And here's something you may not know. One of these symptoms is often overlooked, even by doctors, because it doesn't seem related to Parkinson's at first. That's why I encourage you to stay with us until the end. This information could be life-changing, either for you or someone you love. Before we begin, take a moment to subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications. We provide essential health tips for seniors, helping you stay informed and take charge of your well-being. And if any of the signs we discussed today sound familiar to you, or if you have any health questions, drop a comment below. We'd love to hear from you. Now, let's get started. Symptom number 1: hand tremors. One of the most common and noticeable early signs of Parkinson's is hand tremors. If you've ever noticed your hand shaking slightly when you're at rest, perhaps while sitting quietly or watching television, it might not just be a passing occurrence. Tremors related to Parkinson's often begin in one hand, appearing as a rhythmic shaking or slight twitching in the fingers or thumb. Over time, the tremor may progress, affecting the entire hand and, eventually, the other side of the body. It's important to understand that not all tremors mean Parkinson's. Occasional shaking can be caused by fatigue, stress, or even too much caffeine. But the key difference is that Parkinson's tremors tend to happen when the hand is resting, not when you're actively using it. If your hand shakes while holding a spoon or a newspaper but steadies when reaching for something, this may be an early sign worth paying attention to. John, a 65-year-old retiree, first noticed his thumb twitching subtly while watching TV. At first, he brushed it off as nothing. It wasn't painful, just a minor annoyance. But weeks passed, and the twitching didn't go away. Then he started noticing the tremor when his hand was completely relaxed on his lap. He still told himself, "It's just stress. Maybe I need more sleep." But then, simple tasks, like buttoning his shirt, began to feel clumsy. By the time he saw his doctor, the tremor had started affecting his grip, making it harder to hold a pen without it shaking. If any of this sounds familiar, there's a simple way to check for tremors. Try this. Rest your hands on your lap or a table. Keep them relaxed and still. Do you notice any trembling in your fingers or thumb? If so, pay attention to when it happens. Does it go away when you move your hand? Does it get worse in certain situations, like when you're feeling anxious? If you do notice consistent shaking, here are a few things that might help. Cutting back on caffeine can make a difference since stimulants can make tremors more noticeable. Managing stress levels is also key. Relaxation techniques like deep breathing or meditation may help reduce symptoms. But if the tremor persists, especially when at rest, it's time to speak with a doctor. A neurologist can run tests to determine whether it's Parkinson's or another condition, like essential tremor, which has different characteristics. Catching symptoms early allows for better management and treatment options. And remember, you're not alone in this. Many people have experienced these early warning signs and, with the right support, have learned to manage their symptoms effectively. Symptom number 2: slowed hand movements. Another early sign of Parkinson's that often goes unnoticed is slowed hand movements, or bradykinesia. You may find that everyday tasks, ones that used to be second nature, now take longer than they should. Maybe you've noticed that buttoning a shirt feels more difficult, or that typing on a phone or keyboard seems frustratingly slow. It's not just about stiffness, it's as if your hands aren't responding as quickly as they used to. This is because Parkinson's affects the brain's ability to send movement signals efficiently, leading to sluggish and sometimes unpredictable motions. Margaret, a 70-year-old grandmother, always loved keeping in touch with her family by texting on her phone. But one day, she realized her fingers weren't moving as fast as her mind. She'd type out a message, but her hands lagged behind. At first, she dismissed it as just part of getting older. Then, she started having trouble with other small tasks, like turning a doorknob or opening a jar. The motions that once felt smooth now seemed clumsy and forced. She even noticed that when she walked, her arms weren't swinging the way they used to. If this sounds familiar, here are some ways to check for slowed movements. Try picking up a coin from a table or fastening a button. Does it feel like your fingers aren't responding the way they should? Do you feel like your movements take more effort than before? If so, it's worth paying attention. There are simple ways to help keep your hands flexible and strong. Squeezing a stress ball for 5 to 10 minutes a day can help maintain grip strength. Hand stretches and finger exercises, such as opening and closing your fingers repeatedly, can also improve movement control. If daily tasks are becoming frustrating, consider using adaptive tools. Button hooks, large grip utensils, or even voice-to-text features on your phone can make life easier while reducing strain on your hands. Bradykinesia often develops gradually, but recognizing it early can help you take steps to keep your hands functioning at their best. If you notice persistent slowness, consulting a doctor can help determine whether it's due to Parkinson's or another condition. Symptom number 3: handwriting changes. Micrographia. Have you ever looked at something you wrote and thought, "Why does my handwriting look so small?" If you've noticed that your letters are getting smaller and more cramped over time, it might not just be a quirk of aging. This condition, known as micrographia, is a common early sign of Parkinson's. Micrographia happens because Parkinson's affects the fine motor control of the hands. As the muscles become more rigid and movements slow down, writing can become more challenging. You might start with normal-sized letters, but as you continue writing, the words get smaller and harder to read, almost as if your hand is running out of space, even when there's plenty of room left on the page. Richard, a 68-year-old retired accountant, first noticed the change when his signature didn't look right. Over time, he struggled to sign checks or write grocery lists because his letters were shrinking, even when he tried to focus on writing bigger. At first, he blamed it on his pen or poor eyesight, but eventually, even filling out forms became frustrating. That's when he realized something more was going on. If you want to check for this symptom, try writing a simple sentence on a piece of paper. Pay attention. Do the letters start normal but get smaller as you go? If so, this could be a sign that your hand muscles aren't coordinating as they should. The good news is that you can work on retraining your hands. Practice writing on lined paper, using large strokes to encourage bigger letters. Grip-friendly pens or weighted writing tools can also help provide better control. If you're noticing this change consistently, it's worth discussing with a doctor. Handwriting might seem like a small thing, but it can be an early clue to something bigger happening in the nervous system. Symptom number 4: uncontrollable hand cramps or involuntary clenching, dystonia. Have you ever felt your fingers lock into a curled position or experienced a painful hand cramp that seemed to come out of nowhere? If this happens often, it may not just be a random muscle spasm, it could be dystonia, an early symptom of Parkinson's. Dystonia causes involuntary muscle contractions, leading to fingers that clench or twist on their own. Some people describe it as a tight, uncomfortable stiffness that makes it hard to open their hands fully. Unlike regular muscle cramps that come and go, Parkinson's-related dystonia can last longer and may occur when trying to perform specific tasks, such as holding a utensil, writing, or even gripping a steering wheel. Linda, a retired pianist, first noticed this issue when she sat down to play her favorite song. As she moved her fingers across the keys, she felt them stiffen and curl inward, almost as if they were frozen in place. At first, she thought she had simply overused her hands, but the problem kept happening, even when she wasn't playing. Eventually, simple activities like holding a fork or brushing her hair became frustrating. If you've experienced similar symptoms, try this quick test. Stretch out your hand and flex your fingers open and closed a few times. Do you feel resistance? Do your fingers cramp involuntarily? If so, it might be time to take action. One way to ease the discomfort is through gentle hand stretches. Try flexing and extending your fingers for 10 to 15 seconds at a time. Massaging the palm and wrist can also help loosen tight muscles. Staying hydrated is important too. Low potassium levels can make muscle cramps worse, so adding foods like bananas, spinach, or avocados to your diet may help. If hand cramps are persistent, talk to a doctor. Dystonia can often be managed with treatment, and recognizing it early can help prevent it from interfering with your daily life. Symptom number 5: loss of hand dexterity. Have you ever noticed that simple tasks with your hands don't feel as easy as they used to? Maybe buttoning a shirt, using a key, or gripping a coffee mug takes more effort than before. If your hands don't respond as quickly or precisely as they once did, it may not just be aging, it could be an early sign of Parkinson's. Loss of hand dexterity happens because Parkinson's can weaken fine motor skills, making precise movements slower and more difficult. You might find that small tasks take longer, or you need to concentrate more just to get your fingers to cooperate. Over time, this can affect everyday routines, from getting dressed to writing, cooking, or even using a smartphone. Tom, a 72-year-old retiree, first noticed the change when he struggled to grip his utensils during dinner. At first, he thought his hands were just stiff from the cold weather, but then he had trouble with his zipper, his shoelaces, and even turning a doorknob. His fingers felt clumsy, and objects slipped from his grasp more often. That's when he realized something was wrong. If this sounds familiar, try a simple finger tapping test. Tap your thumb to each fingertip, one at a time, for 30 seconds. Does your hand feel slow or uncoordinated? Do your fingers feel weaker than usual? If so, working on hand strength and coordination may help. One great exercise is using therapy putty or a soft stress ball to squeeze and release for a few minutes each day. This helps maintain grip strength and flexibility. Finger stretching and tapping exercises can also improve coordination over time. If you're struggling with fine motor tasks, adaptive tools like button hooks, zipper pulls, or large-handled utensils can make daily life easier. But if dexterity loss is becoming noticeable, it's important to speak with a doctor. It's important to remember that experiencing one of these symptoms doesn't automatically mean you have Parkinson's. However, if these changes are persistent and affecting your daily life, it's a good idea to check in with a doctor. Early detection can make a big difference in managing symptoms and maintaining independence. If you found this information helpful, consider sharing it with friends or family. Awareness can help others recognize the signs, too. And remember, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss important health updates. Drop a comment below if you've noticed any of these signs. We'd love to hear from you. Taking action early is key. Your health is worth it.